If you really want to be the best, this is what it takes. Whether
Absolutely.
you like it or not, this is what it takes.
For me, I want people to remember me as that person that had limitless faith. And I believe human beings need connection with each other as well as like our spirit realm. So we either believe in ourselves or we believe in a higher power.
I don't think you could call another person your friend if you cannot be vulnerable with them.
Exactly. Generally, people like to feel good that they know something and they can share it, right?
Failure is there every single day of our lives. I think the biggest failure is not to fail. You need
Exactly.
to fail. It's part of life. It's how you gain knowledge. Hello guys, welcome back to Making an Impact on another episode with your host Gian Lucas. Today we're honored to host a remarkable individual that not only has made moves as an academic, he's now making moves as a professional and entrepreneur. Zeke, a pleasure to have you here. This is obviously, as we talked early on, this is a safe space for people who dare to dream, who dare to make something out of their lives and truly embrace that changes and challenges and obviously build upon experiences. So I'm truly honored you accepted our invitation, and this is a space where we're gonna be discussing a little bit about yourself and what brought you to where you are today, and obviously where you wanna be in the future. So welcome.
Thank you, Gian. And I'm truly humbled to be here. When you sent me the invite, I said, why me? But everyone has a voice to say and something to say. So thank you for inviting me on today. And yeah.
Absolutely. And this is a little bit going on the personal side. When I met you, I think we have encountered a couple of times on some events here in downtown Miami, and I truly met you. And I'm the type of person who likes to feel the energy of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you come across as a very humble guy, as a very humble individual who is you have some energy that makes people want to approach you. And that's something that really caught my mind because not a lot of people that have that kind of energy. And I just wanted to let you know that. I know I didn't tell you off camera, but I wanted to take this space to let you know that you are very approachable. You come across as a very energetic and positive individual.
Thank you, man.
No
Greatly
problem.
appreciate it.
Now, the open question that I have in mind is we obviously live in a country where academics are very they are in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, when you go to school here in America and you are graduating from high school, you already have in mind where you want to go. And they're already planning. And you could see a lot of the viral videos on internet when people are applying to different colleges and they're very excited about it. And it comes almost as a tradition for people here to just live through the experience of graduating from high school and then going after a degree in whatever you decide to go after, and then expanding your knowledge with a postgraduate degree, and then continuously going into scholarships and acquiring a set of skill sets and degrees for you to perform better at the industry that you decide to. But this comes with a question, and the question is, what inspired you at the moment to be an academic, to go after so many layers of education?
That's a great question. So in high school, one thing I focused on was evaluating kids and their parents. And I looked and see, well, how their parents, I wanted to know everything about the child's parents and how much they built for their lives, regardless of demographic. And then I evaluated and I found out that my senior high school quote was, dreams only go as far as one's action. because I realized that some people, it seemed like they had dreams, but then other people, I could see that the lives that their parents provided were based on actions, not dreams. So honestly, academics wasn't in my foresight coming out of high school. Actually, I had scholarships available through the state based on my grades, but I didn't take them. I wanted entrepreneurship. I had a goal of $50,000 and open up a mechanic shop because I just want to create and provide a service and just create and grow something that's not there based on opportunity in the market. It was simple. That was it. And I'm going to summarize this, but I started off at a body shop that I was their first employee. They opened up the doors, and then I opened the car dealership at 21, and I was in and out of college. The market corrected in '09, and I reevaluated myself. I dropped out of college twice by 2009, and I was running a car dealership. We were 1 year in, and the market changed to where it wasn't looking good for the inventory and everything. And I projected my life at that time. And I said, all right, I know one thing. If I get a degree, I have to get it now. I looked at my life as like 45 years old, 35 years old. I said, if I get a degree, I have to get it now. Because if I stay doing this entrepreneur thing, I'm fully devoted to that. And by 10 years down the road, I'm probably not going to go back to college. So would I be better off 10 years down the road with a degree or without one? And I said, well, it may be good just to get it, just so I have that paper. That's my fallback. That's what I thought, honestly, my fallback at 21. I said, I want that paper. And from there, it just progressed. I came up to Borders, going into college, I had to take a high school class, man, English class, because my grades were so low. I had bad comprehension, man, reading comprehension. And they were talking about the CPA exam and what it took. And this one professor, he was like a drill sergeant. He said, if you want to be the best, you got to make this GPA. And I'm looking at my GPA and it's like a 1.7. And he's saying a 3.5. And he said, you got to pass the CPA exam if you really want to do this, to be an accountant. And I said, well, I'm not going to quit. I'm here. I know the reason why I went there to college to get the degree. I knew the reason why. And I was confident in the decision why. I got to break this barrier. And it wasn't easy, man, but I broke it.
And would you say that now talking about the professor, you tell me it was like a sergeant. Would you say that strong character, that strong person with a strong character gave you the final push you needed to look, bro, if you really want to be the best, this is what it takes. Whether
Absolutely.
you like it or not, this is what it takes.
Absolutely.
And then how did you start, like I wonder what kind of emotional tool you gained with when you broke that barrier, that you started applying it constantly every single time you were getting into the next barrier. Because let's be honest, you're gonna encounter those kind of barriers, especially the mental barriers that are, I think everything is mental at some points. Obviously you sometimes have, the life is unpredictable, and sometimes you have some situations that you cannot control that are not mental. But when it comes to this kind of situations where you're trying to accomplish something and you have a mental block, it makes you rethink things, and it almost opens the space for fear to come in. And we all know that when fear comes in, you start doubting about yourself, about your capability of making things happen, about what you're doing, if this is what it really takes from you, like what it's gonna take, the sacrifices, etc. So I wonder what kind of emotional tool you gain from that experience that you are using now whenever you encounter the next barrier.
That's good.
It could be
I didn't connect it back to that moment, but I have to continually remind myself certain things I believe, like I can do all things, through Christ who strengthens me. And like just certain things like that make up me and who I am. Not things that I want to do, but things that I believe. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That it's a valid point. And now that we're talking about early inspirations, and you're talking about this professor, what other influential people you had in your life, within or without outside your family, that made you constantly chase something, that it made you to rethink things and say, look, I need to chase this, because they deserve to look at me and see a guy who is making something out of his life.
I have a person, and this is kind of detached from the question, but it gave me the energy. So when I decided to go back to college, I had a partnership in the car dealerships. Just it was a small dealership, but I had to leave that because I had to leave that whole lifestyle.
Okay.
And I had to move back in with my mom and go to college. And I said, in order to do this, in order for me to focus on school, because I wasn't school oriented, I wasn't like disciplined. I learned how to study in college. In order for me to do that, I had to change everything. And I remember at that time, I said, if this is the path I'm going to take, which is completely different, college versus entrepreneur on the street, I said, I know there's one guy and he can give me a job. And it was a place where I already quit, but I left on good terms. I remember I put on my good shoes and my nice pants and shirt, and I walked in there. I was like, look, I told him straight up. I was just completely honest. I said, look, I said, I'm changing everything. I'm going back to college, and this is a place that I need to work so that I can support myself through this. And like I need this job. And I apologize if I, did anything wrong in the past. And he took me back, man. For 7 years I worked there through college and even sometimes after college. But that guy, this is a man who he traveled the world. He was well known for some of the businesses that he ran, and he taught me things more so through his actions than what he said about himself. Because I worked there and I watched how he handled people, and I just, we would talk after work, and just that's really what gave me the energy. Because I grew up with barely anything, like powdered milk and eggs. Like we didn't have much.
Okay.
My parents were very positive, but being connected to a person like that a couple of days a week and seeing the people he serviced, I got to experience a higher level of society that I would not have experienced otherwise. I got to see how they thought different, and I got to see how they treated each other and how they dressed, and the meaning of like taking care of ourselves, and those small cues really added to me. And I said, oh, after a while, they're just people, man. But in order for me to do that, I have to be disciplined. And I learned certain things, just discipline and goals and just being focused. And it's not like a big calculation, but we just have, anyways. But being with that person, he really taught me a lot, working with him.
And you telling me that story, it makes me remember a book that I read back in my home country in Venezuela when I was a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are, I grew up in it wasn't wealthy family, but my grandfather came from Italy and created a business in Venezuela that it downside a lot with the situation, but it's still running. But I read a book from Robert Kiyosaki, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, and that was a book that completely shifted my mentality, because I realized that sometimes when you don't have the emotional tools within your space, the space that you grew up in, you need to gain those skills somewhere else. You need to start learning them somewhere and find inspiration from whoever comes across, and be grateful from experiences like you had or my experience reading that book, because those kind of people, when you look back, you say, what would have been without that? Why would I, like, who would I be right now without that kind of experience? And it's just interesting to look back. It kind of humbles you.
Even this time to speak about it, it really is. Yeah, man.
And how do you, when you got into the scholarship, you started performing well in college, and then going after the CPA exam and trying to make something better and better every time. What made you think, look, I think this is good enough. Now I'm gonna focus more on applying this into my industry. Now I'm gonna chase an industry that it will grant me the space for me to prove I learned a lot.
What helped me get to that point?
Yeah. What made you transition? What was this transition point, I guess?
I see. Honestly, the same professor that told or inspired me to get a good grades, get a CPA. He also was the counselor for the Beta Alpha Psi, the honor society, and he recommended joining that. So I became the president, and from there, I figured out which job I wanted to enter the market in. From there, like he gave us the whole equation, the whole formula to get a good job after college.
Amazing.
And from there, it just kind of progressed from this to that occupation.
And I see that you also have that entrepreneurial mentality and that passion that it requires for entrepreneurs to build something. I recently started experiencing it. My family had their business, but I always thought of, I wanted something for myself, and I think you might experience the same in the past. What made you think, look, I want to come back on the entrepreneurial side and create this business that you created on the business management side?
I got you. So can we back up for a second?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because you mentioned something good, is that there's four perspectives in which humans live, and to evolve as a full minded human being, like the first perspective is in the child stage, to where we view ourselves as a subject to the world, and like we have to defend what we have, and we're also affected by the world. So the second phase is to understand like our unique gifts and want to excel in that. The third phase is what you mentioned, like not just excelling in our gifts, but using it to come and impact the world. Boom. Honestly, I'm still kind of like getting to like, where's my impact in the world? Now I do have a business, and I don't want to overextend on that being my impact, because it isn't right now. That's more of me saying I have a skill, and I want to create residual revenue with that skill.
Okay.
And keep some things going on that end. But yeah, I like how you asked that question of giving something to the world. I got something to give. I'm still in that journey, man.